All right. Hello and welcome again to the Doc Bryant Show. Once again, featuring Nate Hale. Let's give it up again.
All the applause. Stop,
Yes,
please.
there's
It's
all that
embarrassing.
applause. I'm going to get sound effects eventually, I promise. So, you wanted to talk about Hunter Biden.
Well, who doesn't want to talk about Hunter Biden? Besides all the liberals.
Yeah. So, Breitbart has released a movie. I have not seen it yet. I don't know if I will. I can't tell you the last time I actually watched a movie. Except for like an old one, on Netflix or whatever. But yeah, so they've got this movie with or about Hunter Biden, and it's supposed to be, I guess, like a comedy is the way I understand it, and it's got one of my favorite actresses ever, one of my favorite canceled actresses too, Gina Carano is in it. So that kind of makes me want to go see it. I still have yet to see her movie Terror on the Prairie by the Daily Wire, and I hear that's supposed to be pretty good. But again, like I said, I don't watch movies that much anymore. Hollywood is like completely turned me off. But
Well, they're dying, but there's still a lot of good movies being made, like independently. Netflix and them are putting together some good ones,
yeah,
and what would be considered B type movies are coming up. But I mean, that was way back when. I remember when B movies started surpassing some of the Hollywood blockbusters.
Yeah. I used to like a lot of those B movies when I back when I worked for Blockbuster about 100 years ago.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, man, he went on a tear with B movies.
Yeah, and shoot, what's his name?
I know you're talking about Out for Justice.
Oh no, Steven Seagal,
Steven
of
Seagal,
course.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, the what's his name who played Hades in the Disney James Woods.
Oh, James Woods? No, I did not
Yeah,
know he did a whole bunch of B movies. I like James Woods.
Back in the late 80s, early 90s, he did a lot of really cool flicks. That's where I first actually learned of him, noticed him. Was those early movies. Good stuff. Good stuff. He was in one called Cop, and it was him and I believe Brian Dennehy was in that one.
I cannot remember the first movie that I saw James Woods in, but when I think James Woods, the first movie that pops in my head is the one, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one with him and Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox, yeah.
That was I've got it on my shelf of DVDs over there, but I cannot remember. The Hard Way.
The Hard Way, yes.
Classic
Great
movie.
Flick. Great
But
flick.
no, I've heard that this movie, the Hunter Biden movie, is coming out. I don't know if I'll watch it. I know. I mean, I'm glad that the conservatives are starting to. We're not starting to, but are putting out movies like Dinesh D'Souza and things like that to get at least some information out there. Because I mean, the left, it's hard to combat Hollywood with the overwhelming garbage they put out. I mean, the second that Trump became somebody, it seems like every TV show and every movie had an enemy that was Trump-esque and Trump-like. And even apparently the new Star Wars TV show that's coming out, they said it's a Trump style, world. It's like I don't. What blows my mind is these people they always say, oh, it's this is what happens when conservatives rule and the fascism and this and that. And I'm like, man, you're painting the perfect utopian picture of what it would be like if the left ruled. I mean, look at where they rule. Look at the places where they have complete control, and look what happens. And apparently Biden and them have been doubled down, or just recently doubled down on calling Trump a fascist. And it's like, man, I don't think you actually know what the definition of fascism is. It's possible. I haven't gone on Wikipedia in a while. They probably have changed it, like they've changed every other definition. But the actual definition of fascist, no, he doesn't fit that criteria. But
No.
it's cool that they throw that word around, willy nilly, all thinking that, I mean, they're idiots, just lap it up and use it, even though apparently none of them have a dictionary. So
Yeah, that's their uh, that's one of their tactics. One of their big tactics is to use terminology like, as a matter of fact, gosh, I saw something recently. It was a black and white recording, and I can't remember of whom, but it was a guy speaking, and he was talking about that this was uh, something that the Soviets had put out, and this was from the 1950s. It was a film from the 1950s or something like that, recording of a guy speaking at a convention or speaking to a large group of people, and he was saying that that's one of the things that they the Soviets inside the United States, or Soviet sympathizers were told to do inside the United States, is to refer to their political opponents as Nazis and fascists and stuff like that, because and I've always said that they're not interested in the actual definition of the term. All they need is the negative connotation that goes along with that term.
that's all that
And
matters, is that all their sheep hear it and they have something to go
right.
spout on, Twitter or Facebook, or wherever the hell. They just need, what word are we using now? It's like deplorable. Okay, deplorable. And
Mm-hmm.
then the conservatives eat that up and be like, that's right, I'm deplorable.
But just
It's,
like Yankee Doodle.
yeah, no, they talking about that not too long ago, as far as the how the patriot will pick up the insult and use it as a badge of honor. And it's
Yeah.
like, you call me what you want, say whatever insult that you want, throw it my way, and I will wear it proudly.
Yeah.
The fascist one I've got a problem with, though, just because it's like, you it's not an insult. It's an actual. I mean, it's a horrible group of people, but it's not. They're not saying you're stupid. You're deplorable. You're this. You're that. You're insert any insult that the left has used in the past. It's an actual. It's an actual group, and that's going, that instead of just saying an insult about somebody, to say that you are part of this group, or this is what you are. Now you're misrepresenting that person. It's like, well, you can call me an idiot, you can call me a deplorable, but no, let me go down the history of fascism, and what that entails. And I think the what I love bringing up every time, which nobody ever can counter, nobody ever can say anything against, is just look at the fascists throughout history. Every single one of them. Line them all up. Get a piece of paper, write them all down, just have them ready. Have them ready. And then after you've done that, I want you to tell me which one of them, or if all of them, were the type of fascists that demanded that all of the people under their control be armed. I want to know
Right.
which fascist in history demanded that the populace be armed. Just one. Just tell me one. And yeah, but, and insert whatever the hell here. It's like, we don't have to go into more detail. We don't have to go into anything else. It's like, if you think you know what fascism is, fascists do not want the populace to be armed. They do not want people to be able to defend themselves. And again, it's just basic education. But no, you're right. As far as they take a word, they hijack it, and they throw everything they've got on top of it, because they know if they say it over and over and over again, it's obviously true.
And that was the point that the guy was saying. The lecturer was saying. He said that, and the Soviets said this. Just keep repeating it over and over and over again, and eventually it will become true in the minds of the public.
Right. I think I've actually heard that, and I can't remember what the exact quote was. Something along the lines of, if you repeat a lie enough, it becomes the truth.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. And they, but the problem for them now is that they have used that term, the term Nazi, the term racist, the terms homophobe, transphobe, whatever phobe, so much that they have exhausted all meaning of the word, and to the point where nobody even hears it anymore. The very second that they, oh, you're a racist, yeah, blah blah, whatever. Let's get back to the point.
And they've done that
Get back to
with
that
so
point.
many terms though in
Yeah,
the past, that whatever they decide to use, whatever phobe or racist or fascist or something like that, they you're right, they preach it from the hilltop and scream it so many times. It's the boy who cried wolf. It's like, shut up. It's
mm-hmm.
do you have anything factual to say, or are you just going to sling insults?
And
So
they don't. I have to keep my uh, social media exposure up fairly much. I'm still not as good at that, but I was on Twitter and I'd posted something. I don't even remember what it was, and some freaking guy comes along and starts yapping the usual stuff. Doesn't even address the point of my post. He just comes in and starts. What he does is this is another thing that they do, and a lot of times I don't think that, at least like your garden variety grassroots liberal, and I hesitate to even use that term anymore. Um, they don't even know that they're doing what they're doing, but they'll say something as if it's true and expect you to just accept what they said is true, even though it's demonstrably not true. And I think it had to do with guns. Yeah, it had to do with guns, and he had made some kind of statement, or oh yeah. Okay, I remember what it was. Lady Gaga in a she was at a concert in Texas, and now don't get me wrong, I think that she is just an amazing talent. Musically speaking, she is just an amazing talent, just phenomenal.
yes, there is some of
Um,
her music that gets played multiple times by my daughters in this household, and it doesn't make me want to scratch my eyes out. So
yeah. Um, and I've seen her in a couple of movies, and she's a good actress as well. But anyway, she said something about that she hopes that purple Texas turns blue. And I'm like,
when
so
was Texas?
now
Texas ain't purple.
the only thing that I could think of is that maybe because I didn't see where the concert was, and so I'm thinking
Austin
maybe it was in Houston
is either
or
in Houston,
Austin.
Austin, San Antonio, one of those places. I don't
Right.
know where it
And
was either, but I guarantee.
so I was like, so I posted on that thread, if that's what they call it anymore. That's what they used to call it on the bulletin boards. That's what I still call it, as a thread. I posted on that thread. I said, Texas isn't purple. Not even a little bit. I mean, not even a tiny little bit. And this kid comes back and he says that Texas is definitely purple, and it's very close to flipping. And again, I was like, no. As a matter of fact, we just had the bluest area of Texas on the border flip red
Yep.
because of the invasion
Yeah,
that's
didn't
coming across the border.
if I'm not mistaken, that has now, this is the first time since, oh man, when did they say? I think like just after the Civil War,
Yeah.
that area of Texas, has a conservative, or I'm sorry, Republican.
Yeah, and you've even got you've got like the Democrat mayors down there on the border and like in El Paso and stuff like that, and even they are like, this border stuff is no bueno, so to speak.
Ouch. Ooh, that was bad.
Yeah, had to do that. But so he comes off with this stuff, and he's like, well, yeah, you've got Dallas and Houston and San Antonio and Fort Worth and El Paso, and I was like, whoa, hold up. I was like, first of all, Fort Worth is not blue.
I would say Fort Worth is purple. I'll tell you, Fort Worth is purple. Fort Worth used to be hardcore red, and lately some of the things that I've been seeing going on in there, I don't have as much. I would still prefer like going to Fort Worth, going to downtown Fort Worth, going to downtown Dallas.
Sure.
So obviously it hasn't flipped completely to the dark side, but it's starting to do a lot of left leaning. I'll say that.
Yeah. I had. Hang on just a second. My kids are getting yelled at by my wife in the next room.
You got to ignore it, man. You got to ignore it.
Yeah. So I told the kid, and I actually got a picture of the counties in Texas and what was red and what was blue.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful picture.
It's a great picture, and it's changing. And so I sent it to him, and he was like, he didn't answer me after that. And then some other guys jumped on him. Another guy from Texas jumped on him, and he said that the one guy from Texas said that he hated liberals. And I wasn't following the whole conversation because I made the kid shut up.
Right.
Showed him a fact. He ran away.
Well, I'm surprised he didn't come back with an insult. That's usually what happens when I throw out a fact. Then an insult comes back my way because they've got nothing to back it up. So they're like, you're a this, you're a that, blah blah blah.
Well, I've actually got I've got a post pinned on my profile that says, because what they do is they'll go to my profile and they'll look for personal stuff to try to attack me with.
Right.
And so pinned at the top of the thing, it says, if you're a liberal and you're looking at this, that means I've probably already defeated you in debate. And you have come here looking for ammunition for some kind of weak-ass ad hominem attack that isn't going to mean anything to me, and it's not going to make you any more right. So do yourself a favor, block me now and run. And most of them do. Most of them do. They don't even bother coming back at me. They just leave. But he didn't block me because I could still read his garbage. But he comes back at the guy and he says, well, then you must hate most of America because the majority of Americans are liberal. Which again, I'm just like,
no, but they believe that. They believe that. They see this last election. Yes, I am a denier.
Right.
And they're like, well, see, obviously, look at the record numbers that voted for Biden. And I'm like, uh-huh. And how many times did they vote for Biden?
Yeah.
If this next election is fair, God willing, like we talked about before, that they've emptied their clip. They've got nothing left. I'm hoping. The thing that scares me, like I said before, is the fact that nobody has faced any repercussions for it. So what's to stop them from doing it again? Just any bad person does a bad thing. If they get away with it, they're going to do it again. And matter of fact, it's going to make them even more bold. So I'm going to be really interested to see what happens this next election. But the bubbles that everybody are in, and I've actually seen some really good articles and about this, as far as everybody places themselves in a bubble, whether it be conservatives, liberals, or whatnot. In your particular, whether it be Facebook, TikTok, each of those systems is designed to cater to you. So you start liking things and it sends you more things. And pretty soon you get buried in those things. And you think that, hey, obviously everybody thinks like me because look at all the things that I see. Look at all these posts. Look at all these groups. Look at all these people. I'm not hardly seeing any of the other side's thoughts. And it's actually a liberal that did this. He decided to step outside his bubble and start liking all of the groups and people that he thought he was against, started liking them to get a broader picture and broader perspective. And I thought that was that was incredible. I try to do that. It's difficult because you get on a habit of clicking the things you like, but I start the things I don't like. I click the things that I am against. I'll put it that way, not necessarily don't like. And for two reasons. One, I like to see where the other side's head is at, and two, I do like to keep an open mind. Believe it or not, I'm probably one of the most hard-headed people that I know, but I've actually had my mind changed on a few things over time because I was engaged in debate with an intelligent individual who
Right.
could actually speak about what they felt and what the facts that they had, the information that they could provide, and then question me on the reason I felt the way I felt and what basis did I have to feel that way. And when I started understanding that, okay, some of these thoughts that I had in the past, maybe this is interesting. Let's continue to talk. Now, debate like that, I love. Somebody that can open my eyes to a whole new perspective on something. I mean, Lord knows, I know I'm not right about everything. I get that. And I don't, when I go out onto these and I chat with people that have different views than I do, I'm not going to attack. I'm not going to start. Well, okay, sometimes I'm going to start an argument. I prefer to call it a debate. But again, I don't mind losing, because if I lose, then obviously there's something wrong with whatever that is that we're discussing. My thought process on that, and I must not have all the information, which I have gone off before because I've seen an article or read something that wasn't entirely based in fact, and I got all upset, and I would debate and talk about it, and then somebody would point out, it's like, hey, did you read this and this and this? And it's like, oh no, I didn't. So now, because of things like that, I try to, when I see something, it's like, before I get too upset, let me go to these other places and look to see if this is accurate or this was just clickbait. If somebody just posted this and created this article to piss me off, which honestly, both sides, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, there are authors, and I hate to use the word journalist, but they think they're journalists, that intentionally incite both sides, and they write articles to piss off the left. They write articles to piss off the right, because it's almost like, well, it makes them money. It like I said, clickbait. It gets them clicks. The more people are angry, the more interesting and provocative the story is, the more people click on it and read it. And the more you piss them off, the more people post comments, and the more people say, hey, did you look what this jerk wrote? And then they send it to their friends. So I get why they do it, but damn, especially with the position that our country is in right now, we really need a whole lot less of that. But I guess it's the nature of the beast as far as when it comes to journalism. Again, quote unquote journalism. Apparently, real journalism has died a long time ago, and now it's damn near impossible to separate the facts from the fiction, and that's really sad. That's unfortunate.
It's been a long time since I've had anybody. They're few and far between that I'll come across a liberal who actually will hold a discussion in good faith. Like, again, this kid, and honestly, the way he was talking, I wanted to go like, are you in junior high or something? Because like you said, there was this dude was obviously living in a bubble, like a serious bubble. He was like drinking the Kool-Aid, and he had a Kool-Aid enema going the other direction. The guy was like Kool-Aided up. And so, and that's when I did what I always do when I want to get rid of a liberal and I want to make him run away. I ask him for a definition
of something. Yeah.
And so I said, just so we're on the same page, define liberal. What do you mean by liberal? Haven't heard from him since. That was like 2 days ago.
They don't like definitions. They like gray area. They like to be able to live in the ether.
Yeah, there was one guy, because normally, like I said, they need the word to mean whatever they need it to mean at that time.
And if they define it, they're screwed the next time they try to use it the other way.
Because then you've got them nailed down. And there was one time when I was discussing it was some show or movie that was woke. And there have been so many of them over the past 6 years that I don't even remember what it was. I want to say it was something Disney Marvel, but I could be wrong. Could have been Disney Star Wars. Could have been Disney anything at this point. But I mentioned that it was woke, and how it's not going to do well financially.
Mm-hmm.
And so this guy comes along and he proceeds to argue with me, and he asked me, well, what about it is woke?
Oh, hell, grab a pen and paper.
Which is it's a good, legitimate question, but I saw what he was doing, and I was impressed, because that was a chess move. What he just did when he asked me that was a chess move. And I was like, I see what you're doing there. Because what he wanted me to do was he wanted me to list out a bunch of things that I say, this is what makes it woke, this, and this.
Right.
And then he would come back and say, well, that's not woke. And I knew that's what he was doing, because I've seen that done multiple times with the term socialism. And I'll say, when I say socialism doesn't work, and well, what is socialism? And I'll say this, and this, and well, that's not real socialism.
Yeah,
and
not
so,
that's the thing, not real. Insert whatever it is.
That's
here.
not my definition of socialism. What it ultimately is. But this guy, so I came back at him and I said, well, what do you consider wokeness is? Just so that we're on the same page. And he refused to answer, like most of them do. He refused to answer like 3, 4. We went 3 or 4 times, but he stuck around. And I said, look, this is the reason I'm asking you. Because the second I give you, my reasons as to why I think this is woke, I expect that you're going to come back at me and you're just going to say, well, that's not woke.
Right.
And then then it's just semantics and stupidity. And I'm not going to waste my time with that.
But then what you say is like, okay, fine. We'll go by your definition. It's not woke. This movie, which is a liberal piece of garbage, is going to tank at the box office for whatever reason you think. But and see, that's
this guy's credit. He came back and he actually told me. He said, well, I guess colloquially speaking, this is what I would say woke is. And I was just like, holy cow. This is the first liberal ever
to actually define something.
Ever to define anything. And I came back and I said, dude, and I told him, I said, you're the first ever. And I appreciate that. Because again, I don't care if you're a liberal, as long as you're going to. I love a good conversation.
No, and I'm the same way. I get so frustrated when you start off something and you think and there's been multiple times where it's like you said, somebody asked a very good question and it's like, thank you for asking, and I give something back, and then boom, you get hit with an insult or something like that, or just whatever their pocket phrase is at the moment. That they got from CNN or whatnot, as far as this is what to say whenever you talk to a conservative. Yeah. And it's like, oh man, I thought we were going to actually have a conversation. We were so close, because I would love to understand the mindset. And I have a friend who shall remain nameless. But anyone who has ever been on my Facebook will know who this person is, who just loved to talk about anything that I posted. Had a problem with everything.
I know who you're talking about.
Don't.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
Bob. I'm not going to call anybody out. That's not my place. But this person, all of my other friends on Facebook loved when this person would comment, and he always commented.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah,
here we go.
There were actually sometimes where he would not comment, and some of my other friends would say, "Hey, where's your buddy?" But I've known him for so long, and when we were young, we've known each other since we were very young, before either of us were really political at all. And he at the time, when we were working together, he actually did I started to get a little bit conservative. He started to get a little bit liberal, and we started having some disagreements, small ones, but nothing huge. And then, we we grew up, we grew apart, and then we stayed in contact on Facebook. He early on was one of the people that I could talk to, and we could have legitimate conversations about things, and he could have an intelligent conversation, and we'd go into some deep discussions on things sometimes, but it didn't take long. This was, if memory serves, around the Obama years, when things started going really hardcore left on the pendulum. And everything started going their way as far as they started pushing the agendas just so hard. And then pretty soon crazy was normal. And so it was okay to let your freak flag fly. And so people started, well, this is how I really feel about it. And then the conversations started getting less informative and more insulting, to where, he would say something and I would come back, and then he would just throw out a standard liberal talking point or standard liberal insult. It's like, man, where did this come from? And then as more time went on, it didn't even get that far. We barely got into conversations, and he would just immediately attack. And I don't know if it was just he was so frustrated that I wasn't conforming. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I have bear this person no ill will. I still think they're probably one of the most intelligent people that I've ever known. A great person. I really want to understand. And I have, some people are like, man, you should just block him. You should get rid of him. It's like, no, because when I post things, I really want to hear what he's going to say, because it gives me an insight to where this is the liberal mindset, as far as this is what they think, because believe it or not, there's a whole bunch of conservatives, maybe not so much anymore, that don't truly know that this is what a liberal, whatever this post is, this is how a liberal really feels in general. I hate to lump everybody into that, because you can never trust the what you see in the news. And as far as, man, do people really feel this way? I remember some of the conversations that I had with him where, like, we're not trying to take your guns. And then I'd post like 10 articles of where there's, a congressman sitting there. I want to take your guns. I want to take your guns. I want to take your guns. I'm going to take your guns. By the way, in case you didn't know, Biden just said if he gets reelected, or did he say? I don't have the article.
He did.
I can't remember.
He
if he
did,
said,
and then
reelected, or after this next election, I'm going to take away all your guns. I can't remember.
Yeah. No, he did. He said that, and then Jerry Nadler, he said it in during a hearing. He said, because the one congressman was like, okay, I want to hear from the chairman. Are you talking about banning guns that are in common use in the United States? Use that terminology on purpose. And Jerry Nadler said, yes, that's the point of this. And it was just like, dude, you're done.
And this is my point, because you go and this happened to me over and over and over the years with him. And there were a couple others, but he was by far the most vocal. Where I would point something out, and they're like, oh man, this is you guys just blowing things up, fear mongering, right, saying we're going to do this and do that. And every single point that I brought up, every one of them, without exception, because I can be wrong. Lord knows, ask my wife. I'm good at being wrong. But every single point that I brought up was absolutely true. And whether it be the guns, the abortion, you insert whatever thing you could possibly debate here. And if I had an opinion as far as, okay, this is what the liberals are trying to do, he would come back and say, no, you're fear mongering. That's not what we're trying to do. And then a couple months, possibly a year later,
Yep.
It's either happening, it's in legislation, or all of them are talking about it. Hell, here's a perfect example. When all of the liberals, and I loved when they did this, and this was a hiccup, but all of the liberals were defund the police. Defund the police. We got to get rid of the police force. Defund the police. And man, we need to discuss that whole topic another time. But and then I don't know what happened. The wind changed. Something shifted, and then all of a sudden they all flip flopped and said, no. Oh, I remember when it was. There was a spending bill, some sort of bill that had. So it was just all kinds of liberal pork, but there was one thing in there that gave some money to the police or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was just one little tiny thing. It's like, here, we're going to help the police. All of this other stuff is garbage. And the Republicans killed it. And the Democrats were like, see, the Republicans hate the police. And when they were called out on it by the media, and this is sometimes actually happens, even with the left-wing media, saying, wait a minute, you were just screaming defund the police. No, it's the Republicans that want to defund the police. And it's like, I've got hours of tape showing, I can't tell you how many senators and congressmen up and down, left, right, and center talking about how Democratic congressmen saying they want to defund the police. No, you don't. What? And then like it was like a couple of weeks later, one of the idiots that apparently didn't get the memo starts like, we need to defund the police. What? We're not on that anymore? Oh, damn it. Let me get back to you. Well, apparently they gave that up because they're back to the whole defund the police thing. Damn, we keep getting off topic. I was told by my producer that who listened to our last or listened to your last podcast said that, man, you guys go off topic. You need to get a script, or you need to pick some things to talk about and stick with it. I don't know if that's possible for us. I don't know.
Well, and here's the thing. I've got.
I want to. I don't think
my producer is going to be listening to our first thing like this weekend, and right. So I'll hear back from her as far as what she thought of it, you know, because she's somebody that I'm actually going to want to bring on as well, because she's got some great questions, and I like to riff off of her. But yeah, we can kind of go afield.
I mean, we were talking about the Hunter Biden movie, which I don't think we even talked about, and we've gotten here.
Yeah.
But no, my younger producer listened to, we had a brief moment. It wasn't too long, but I started playing it, and the instant response was, "This is great, but you guys don't stay on topic." And she's like, she listens to a whole ton of podcasts, and she's like, the best podcasts are the ones where they have a script lined out, but it doesn't sound like they have a script. It's like, you guys definitely don't sound like you have a script. It's like, I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment. I don't.
We don't have a script.
But but I'm so bad about that. But I want to bring something else up that we can stay on topic for about 5 seconds and then immediately fly off the handle on. I don't know if you saw. There were some ramblings about this not too long ago. As far as I think it was just words during a speech it was brought up. But now apparently there are billboards. There are billboards in Los Angeles and San Francisco warning residents not to move to Texas, citing the Uvalde shooting. Have you heard about that? Yes. Yes, and it is disgusting. I mean, I want to preface this with, I know you feel the same way. I agree that every Californian should stay in California. I will say that if you are a Californian, there are plenty of conservative Californians. I realize this, especially in the rural areas. There's absolutely no doubt about that. If you're sick and tired of your state and you want to come down here to Texas because you want to be in the red, then come on down. But if you're sick and tired of California because you are a locust and you have destroyed that state and now you want to move on and come to Texas and vote the same stupid ways that you've been voting over there, move on, Jack. Go somewhere else. We don't want you here.
The animosity that we were just talking about can't stay on topic. The animosity that you were just talking about see how I brought this around? Brought it right beautiful. Around.
That was beautiful.
Damn, I'm good.
Yeah, you are.
The animosity that you were talking about is actually working in our favor in that regards, because what's happening is that the people leaving California and the people leaving New York, because that was a big worry when it first started, when you had these Leftugees moving from these blue states into Texas and Florida. We in Texas, we're just like, y'all stayed up over there. You voted your problems in. You fix them. Don't come running over here like a bunch of locusts and vote the same stuff in down here.
Yeah, you broke your state. Stay out of mine.
Exactly. And I was thinking what we need to do is, before anybody can vote in Texas, they need to have been a resident here for like 5 years. If you've been a resident here for 5 years, then okay. And I was putting stuff up on Twitter too. I was saying, don't come here. We got COVID everywhere. People are dying in the streets, and then they're coming back to life, going and buying a bunch of automatic weapons and shooting everybody who's still alive.
Yep. We've got
And
Bibles and guns. You don't want to come here.
yes, you
You don't
don't
want to
come
come in.
here. You stay there. You're safer in California. So anyway, they did some surveys of the people that were coming here and the voting practices after the people had come here and stuff like that. And it turns out that the folks that are coming here from California and from New York are redder than us.
Whoa. Well, they've had to
Which,
deal with it. They've been under the
yeah,
persecution of the left. So I
yeah.
can understand that. I can understand that.
So it's turning us redder, which again, sorry, Lady Gaga, but ain't no purple going on. As a matter of fact, the places that are blue now are starting to go red. Another story. And this happened a while ago in San Francisco. The San Francisco School Board had like 3 really super duper woke school board people, whatever they call them over there,
Yeah.
regents, royal, I don't know, lords and ladies,
Your
whatever.
Majesty. Yeah.
Yeah. And the people of San Francisco voted every single one of them out.
I heard about that. My
And
mind was blown. Mine was
yeah,
blown.
and they and this is in Los Angeles, I believe. The people of Los Angeles tried to recall their district attorney because he's a Soros DA
Yeah.
who's letting felons
Everybody go
loose and
free.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the they had to cheat to keep him in.
Oh no, they did the same thing when they tried to recall Newsom. That was a load of crap.
Yes. Beep.
I'm trying really hard. It is so difficult. I want to keep it clean. But you get me talking about politics, and all of a sudden it's like, No,
Yeah.
what I actually read an article. It was incredible. It was, I can't remember which lib rag put it out, but it was talking about the worst places to live in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting, and I saw, man, I wish I would have saved that article. But I want to say that it was by city. It was possible that it was by state. I can't remember. But basically, bottom line, however it was listed, Texas was up there. I'm like, oh, that's interesting because population-wise, we're where it's at, and everybody and their mother is trying to get here. I mean, like, we can't keep these people away. They're just flooding into our state every which way. And I'm like, okay, I'm really interested to hear about this. Why is Texas so awful? And then when I went into it and it started explaining the criteria, and it was basically saying the short version is wokeness. It was because, your rights are being violated here and there. They don't allow you to do this or do that, and it's just, all of this. All of the things
they won't call you by your pronouns
that we as liberals hold dear. They don't do any of that in Texas, and I was dying. I loved this, and again, I should have saved it. When down at the bottom, I was like, I've got to see what the comments were, and I every single bloody comment, every single one was a Texan, and every single comment was like, "Yep, we suck. Stay out." Everyone was like, "Yeah, we're awful here. God, it's so bad. You wouldn't believe how they treat us. Don't come. Stay away. Stay away."
Absolutely. In Texas, we've only got one pronoun, and that's y'all.
Yeah,
that's our pronoun. Yeah. But ultimately, we're getting redder, and because of what's happening in the people leaving California and New York and like places, for the first time in history, California lost a seat in the House of Representatives.
I want to ask you something about that. I have, and just so everyone knows, I was for a couple of years now keeping myself in my own bubble-ish. Politics, Facebook, all that, with everything that was going on, it got to me so bad that I had to, it was making me so angry, the things that I was reading and hearing, the things that were going on, I had to step away. And I was like, you know what? all this crap, the world's going to do what the world's going to do, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wrap my arms around my family, and I'm going to spend time with them, and the rest of the world be damned. So while that is a selfish thing, I needed a break. My break is over, and so I'm getting back into this, and I'm starting to allow myself to slowly. I've slowly worked up to it, but now I'm getting into the back into the mainstream of what's going on. But there, unfortunately, is a decent amount that I have not kept up with, and because of that, I'm a little bit behind. But I apologize. I went off on one of my rants. You please continue. I'm losing my head.
No, that's basically all I wanted to say about that. We're Texas is not going purple. All of these other blue states, I'm not convinced they're blue. And even the blue cities, I'm not convinced that they're blue. I think that if the Democrats have to cheat to stay in power in a city, then they're not really in power. It's just like what happened in the national election. If they had to cheat to get into power, then they're not really in power. And which brings me back around to what we were originally talking about, which was my plan from the beginning. Tell your producer.
Yeah, right.
We were just taking the scenic route. But Mark Zuckerberg stated in what's the show that he was on? Joe Rogan's show. He stated in Joe Rogan's show that he did indeed, or Facebook did indeed, censor the Hunter Biden laptop story because they knew that if they didn't, it would damage Joe Biden's run for the White House. And that is bad for Zuckerberg for more than one reason. But one of the reasons is that means that he perjured himself in front of Congress, assuming he was under oath. If he was not under oath, then he didn't perjure himself. But if he was under oath, then he perjured himself because he said that they didn't do that in front of Congress. Now, as you pointed out before we got started, and again, I planned this whole conversation. Tell your producer.
Yeah,
my producer too, I guess. My younger producer. That's not going to mean anything because the DOJ is dirty.
Exactly.
Which is true. Well, maybe not as dirty as we first thought. So that's one thing.
Okay.
So I'm gonna break this up into two parts. First of all, maybe not as dirty as we thought because it turns out that the Bureau group that had just recently conducted this illegal raid on Mar-a-Lago, these are the same guys that were conducting the investigation and falsified the data and stuff like that for the Russia probe. And they're the same guys that were involved in something else. I can't remember, something else shady for the Democrats. So it looks like what we've got could be similar to the situation like in the United States military, where you've got upper management and some middle management that the Democrats can count on, and they have developed a team of their own
Right.
within the system that they use to do their dirty work. But it's not necessarily system wide. That's what that tells me. If you've got one group doing the same stuff in different places, that means that they feel that they can only count on that one group.
I want to believe you, but again, my trust and faith has gone to almost nothing when it comes to
And rightfully
us
so.
being able to pull out of this.
Mhm.
I thought, I thought once Trump gets reelected, cool, he'll finally actually be able to, because everybody knows that the president in their second term, that's when they can get stuff done. They can really get stuff done because they don't have to spend any
'Cause
time
he's a
worrying
lame
about getting
duck.
reelected.
Yeah.
And so I want to have faith. But that election shook me to the core. And so to believe that this is just because that's another thing that the left likes to do. It's like, oh, that was just a rogue, whatever. It's
Yeah.
when the IRS was targeting. This is back during Obama. The IRS was targeting the conservative organizations
Yeah,
and just
Susan
tearing them
Rice.
apart. And it's like, oh, that was just some rogue IRS agents. It's like, no. No, and I hear your point as far as it's the same people. Well, all that means is that's their varsity squad. That doesn't mean that that's their only squad. That's their go-to people. And after the crap that they pulled with the whole Russian thing, the dossier, and all that garbage, and when they have now proven the lies and the deceit, and what they flat out admitted that, okay, yeah, maybe we had to lie a little bit in order to get the judge to sign off on this warrant. It's like, okay, what happens now? Not a damn thing. There were a couple of slaps on the wrist, but that's it. And all of those jerks are still doing the same bloody thing. And the fact that these idiots on the left out there think that it's like good because he deserves it because of this and that. It's like, first of all, you don't know. You don't know what's going on. And they come back with, well, obviously, since they're investigating him, there's something. It's like they've been investigating him since he started running for office and
for
have
6
got
years.
jack squat. The
Mhm.
entire imagine this. Nobody's clean. Nobody's perfect. Anybody with enough scrutiny could their words they might have said this little blip of something over here that can be turned against them. They said a dirty joke that might be considered racist, in short, or said this thing over here that could be considered misogynistic. Nobody's perfect. But think about this. The entire weight of every single organization in the United States government focused on one man for 6 damn years. And they have come up with jack squat, not a damn thing. Tell me one more person that could go underneath that scrutiny. Nobody. If they had anything on him, they would have buried him a long time ago, but they've got nothing. So these liberals coming in and saying that, oh, well, obviously they've got something, otherwise they wouldn't be doing this. It's like, no, they've got nothing. That's why they're doing this. They have to continue. They can't stop now.
They
This
can't
is a
quit.
juggernaut that cannot be stopped, or they will have to admit that they're wrong, and they can't at this point. They are too far into it. So I don't know, man. Rogue group?
Well,
I don't think so.
Here's my second point. Okay, that was my first point. Again, if they're relying on that one group, that tells me that the whole system isn't jacked up entirely, or at least that they don't trust the whole system. They trust these guys because they've got it corrupted all the way through, and they don't necessarily have the rest of the field agents from the other groups or whatever. Because, yeah, I mean, think about it. Most people who join the FBI so that they can solve crimes. I want to stop bank robbers, or I want to, catch kidnappers or serial killers or whatever. You don't have a lot of political ideologues necessarily. So all of those stars have to align from the top down. So you get one guy at the top who can pick a couple of guys down here who can pick some of their people, and they can cut a little wedge out. And they know who they can assign to what. But second point, Trump, when he came in the first time, did not understand how the system worked in DC. He didn't know how corrupt it was. And I mean, all the way to the core, it was corrupt.
Both sides are in bed
The
with each
very
other.
fact that he trusted so many Bush people to back him up proves
when he was appointing his cabinet, I damn near had a coronary.
Me too. But when he was on his way at the end of his term, he signed an executive order changing the employment status of all of these federal employees such that they no longer had the employment protections that they had previously, because he was planning on getting reelected, and then after he got reelected, he was going to fire all of them. Now, the way that this actually works out in his favor, the situation as it is now, is that executive order is still in place. And while he has been biding his time, they've been actively recruiting for the positions that they are planning on emptying. And these positions are going to be in the Department of Justice, the intelligence, military communities, and stuff like that. There's like several thousand positions in upper and middle management that he's just going to come in and just start saying, you're fired, you're gone. And apparently a lot of people know this because some of the higher ups see which way the wind is blowing, and they're already starting to quit. They're already starting to resign, because one of the things that they want to avoid, because they think that the old rules are still in force.
Not anymore.
The old rules being that once we leave office,
you'll leave us alone.
You're not going to investigate us. You'll leave us alone. Well, hey, when you guys raided Mar-a-Lago, that's out the window. That's
all we've been discussing here. That's all we've been talking about. It's like, ooh, they just set a really nasty precedent. It's always been, even regardless of how much the president, current president, former president have disliked each other, there's always been a respect. Usually because the Republicans and Democrats, believe it or not, actually are
on the same team.
Yeah, on the same team. So this is the first time, similar to Reagan, where you have somebody that's hated by both because he doesn't play the game. He doesn't, hey, we all agree this is the way we're going to go. And he's like, no, I think I'm going to go this way. And so, yes, and I 100% agree with you. After doing this, what they have done is they have opened a door that they're going to really wish that they shouldn't, or that they shouldn't have opened. And I have to give credit to my producer, my wife, one of my producers, my wife, who she called it when they did that. To me, she opened my eyes to it. As far as, because I was bloody pissed. I was just ranting and raving about it. And she's like, well, you know what they did actually helps Trump. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? And she said, they just opened this door to where now, because it's like you said, it's the old rule. It's the untold rule. It's like, old administration's gone. You leave them alone. That's fine. You do what you do. They already did what they did. It's okay. Now in going after Trump the way that they have now, as you said, just basically declared, please investigate the hell out of all of us once you win election. But as my wife has said, this right here, this how can I word this? This precedent that they have now created is going to backfire on them potentially, again, if the election is fair, so hugely that they can't possibly comprehend. But once we really got into talking about it and explaining, well, damn, that's a good point. Why would they do this then? But to her point was that at this point they have no choice. They have absolutely no choice but to do everything they possibly can to take this man down because he is going to undo them if they don't. So no matter what it could potentially cost them in the future, which is very weird for a Democrat because they usually play the long game, they, like this last election, are spitting out everything that they can. They're grasping at every straw that they can, clutching at every single possibility, doing all of the things that they know that they shouldn't, but they absolutely have to, just in case this one more thing could possibly take this man down, because they are so afraid of what he is going to do.
And there was a former NYPD commissioner, I believe, who, after the raid on Mar-a-Lago, turned up nothing. He said that he believes the left's next move is to attempt to assassinate Trump. Now, I don't know if they would do that because, oh man, because there's a couple of things that are cooking here. They know they're going to lose Congress. They know they're going to lose Congress bad, to the point that both Kevin McCarthy, the current minority leader, and Mitch McConnell, the current Republican leader in the Senate, are trying their best to help the Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
In the midterms, so that the MAGA patriots don't come in the volume that they're worried about. Because one of the things, of course, McCarthy's worried about his speakership. He wants that gavel again, and he's not likely to get it if all of these MAGA
McConnell?
people come in. Kevin McCarthy, yeah.
Oh, Kevin McCarthy, okay.
Yeah. McConnell, he's a little bit less worried because he figures he's in, he figures he's solid and he's going to stay leader, which probably is going to be the case. But there's already some rumblings that might not be the case. And Trump last week just opened up on him to the point where he's made it very clear that
you're not my guy.
McConnell is a target at this point. And speaking of Trump, his endorsements,
oh yeah,
are friggin' gold.
Solid gold. Solid
so
gold.
he's got a record of like, it's like 300 and something and 11. So like the raid after Mar-a-Lago, the day after the raid on Mar-a-Lago, all of his candidates won in their primaries. Mm-hmm. After that, all of his candidates won in the primaries. They have pissed us off. And again, going back to the point of what the Democrats are trying to do to stop Trump and prevent him from becoming president. Trump is not their problem. We are their problem. Trump said it the first time he was up there. He said, they really hate you.
Yeah.
I'm just standing in their way.
They're going after me to get to you.
Exactly. And they can't stop us. We're already awake. The sleeping giant is already woken up. They can cheat all they want. This last time it got them the presidency.
Got them the presidency, and it got them 2 Senate seats. Both those Senate seats.
Next time,
they could tie.
Yeah. Next time, not so much.
We'll see.
And then the next time, even less.
I want to have faith, but I mean, in some of the states where there was some cheating,
it's going to happen. It has to happen. And the reason is because another one of the things that's occurring is that the states are starting to stand up for their sovereignty under the Constitution and say, yeah, you know what? You don't have the authority to do that, DC. So no, we're not going to do it. And if it comes down to it, I can't remember who I was listening to that was talking about this, but if it comes right down to it, because the only power DC has over the states is federal funding. What happens if we stop sending them funding?
And it'll have to come to that. And we'd gone over some scenarios as far as that happening if it ever got to that point. And Texas, because either I would have never thought this, but possibly even Florida before DeSantis, I never would have thought anybody else would have stood up but us. Texas actually standing up and said, you know what? No, we're not gonna send you your money anymore. And at that point, what does the United States government do? They couldn't lose a state. They'd have to save face, and it would be very interesting as far as what they would choose to do. I honestly don't think it'll ever come to like a secession or anything like that.
I don't think it'll come to that.
But
no, what's going to happen is what I predicted. The Democrats are going to do what they always do. They're going to fall back and regroup. But in order to do this, they've got to have somebody to blame, though.
Yeah, they gotta have a fall guy.
So that's going to be AOC and the squad. AOC and the squad are going to be the fall guys, and those guys took us to far. We didn't want to do that. Nancy Pelosi will say behind the podium, she will stand up there and say, vodka, and everybody will buy it.
Yeah.
And but what's more important, regardless of what they say, the Democrats are going to say their stuff, but it's going to be the media. The media is going to come out and they're going to start running stories about, AOC and the squad and all these leftists and stuff, and maybe pick some people, some other fall guys out. Some minor apparatchiks and stuff like that. And these guys were manipulating us in the media and telling us to do stuff. We didn't want to do it, but, we thought they were telling the truth. And they're going to reorganize. And again, I really, truly believe this. They are going to pull from the disaffected rhinos that are leaving the Republican. And I'm telling you, I am freaking telling you, Liz Cheney is going to be right up there in the front.
I'm all for it.
Because they're talking right now about, Liz running as an independent. And I'm like, if Liz runs as an independent, first of all, nobody's going to vote for her. But the people that do vote for her are going to be Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to end up splitting the Democrat ticket. And before that happens, though, because the Democrats won't allow that, because Bernie tried to do that a couple of times, and what they had to do is they just had to pay Bernie off.
Right.
And so what they're going to do is they're going to have to pay Liz off, but the way that they're going to have to pay her off, because she's young, she wants to stay in Congress, she wants to stay in politics. They are going to bring her in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be her. I don't think Romney will ever cross. I think he'll just stay the same old jackass he always been.
I bet he'd cross. But, I mean, to your point, there needs to be a couple of them, a couple of rhinos have to stay, because that way CNN and MSNBC have that Republican that they can interview that says, see, here's a Republican that doesn't agree, and it's like.
And, well, one thing that they can do, too, is that they can always pull from these others, like you've got Kinzinger, who's resigning because he knows that he can't get elected again after serving on the January 6th committee. And so, but my guess is the reason that he's not coming back is because he's already been promised a job with CNN or MSNBC or something like that.
Right.
To be their token conservative.
Yeah.
Who knows?
They're quote unquote Republican, probably
going to be on
his
the
side.
View. Yeah. He's going to be that, because you've seen him cry. I think he's cried like 5-6 times on the January 6th committee alone. So yeah, they'll probably put him on the View next to Whoopi.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because he's such a bitch. See, I censored myself.
You did.
So And tell your producer not to worry too much, because I can go back and edit out the stuff where we appeared to go
Rambled
afield.
on for a bit.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can edit that out. And not only that, I can take that part and put it into a separate thing and put that in my subscription area and say, if you want behind the scenes stuff, see, that's how that stuff works.
Right, right.
If you want the behind the scenes stuff, now I know how to do that. And all I got to do is have you on more often, and we'll just
We'll have
talk for
plenty of
3
behind the
hours.
scenes stuff. I can ramble on for days. But we
So, yeah.
better wrap it up before my producer comes looking for me.
Yeah. And I apparently have to deal with the situation. One of our new kittens, got to deal with that.
That's what you get, man. The word
Yeah.
is no, is N-O.
Yeah. I mean, and the funny thing is too, that they like come crawling up while I'm working. They'll crawl into my lap. Like two or three of them will just come crawling, and I'm like, you don't get it. I'm the mean one. You know, the other people, the ones in there are the ones that think you're cute. You know,
It's
the
too
only
late.
reason I haven't eaten you yet is because they're so damn skinny.
Yeah, you've already been suckered in, man. It's too late.
Oh no,
They
it's
got you.
over.
They got
It's
you.
over. Yeah, it's over. All right, bud. Well, I guess I'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming on. And based on how we went afield, I'll probably have to cut out 3/4 of this.
Probably.
All right, man.
All right.
I'll talk to you later. And folks, if you want to contact me for hate mail or anything like that, it's Doc Bryant Show at zohomail.com. ZOHO mail.com. And if you want to contact me on social media, Truth Social, Gab, Getter, Minds, at Doc Bryant, and on Twitter it's at Doc Bryant Actual. So you can send me hate mail that way too. And if you want to send me money, by all means, go ahead. All right. We'll talk to you all later. And thanks for coming on, Nate, and see you again soon.
See ya.
All right. Bye.